Lanka's opportunities and challenges and development of the Asian economy as a whole. First, about the Asian century. According to a recent ADB Commission publication, Asia 2050, Realizing the Asian Century, the Asia and Pacific region could represent more than 50% of world GDP by the middle of the century. This is a realistic considering its share of the world total population, which is also just about 50%. This economic scenario will place the region in a dominant global position, exactly like the one it had about 200 years ago. This scenario assumes that Asian economies will maintain a strong momentum of growth for the next 40 years. And this implies that Asia must adapt quickly and constantly to shifting global economic and technological conditions. This also implies that Asian countries will strive to sustain needed economic reforms and continue to pursue sound economic policies as well as strong governance. I believe Asia can make it, and I also believe that Sri Lanka can be an integral part of this Asian transformation. Let me now turn to my focus to Sri Lanka itself, in particular its achievements so far and the direction it should aim in the future. Clearly, Sri Lanka has the basis for a strong economy. Its achievements go back to a long way. For instance, Asia and Sri Lanka had one of the most advanced irrigation systems in the world. Indeed, the construction of its first land water reservoirs dates back to the 3rd century BC, and thereafter, Sri Lankan engineers developed highly efficient canal systems that deliver water to farms and unleashing highly productive agriculture. It is quite extraordinary that close to 30,000 water reservoirs or tanks built way back to the 12th century during the period of King Parapurakwapu I are still in operation today. I would like to stress the importance of more recent achievements. Despite 3 decades of a civil conflict, Sri Lanka has managed to become one of the most successful countries in Asia in terms of social development indicators, especially health and education, as the Secretary just mentioned. Let me also quote just a few numbers for you. The transition rate from primary to secondary education is now 98%, one of the highest in Asia. Adult literacy stands at 92%, compared with the average of 71% in lower middle-income countries in the world. Infant mortality rate has dropped steadily from 70 per 1,000 live births in 1960 to 8 per 1,000 today. Access to safe water supplies stands at as high as 99% of the urban population. Performance is equally impressive when it comes to key macroeconomic indicators. Since the end of the civil war in May 2009, Sri Lanka has been recording solid rates of growth. During 2010 and 2011, economic growth exceeded 8%. While growth slowed down to 6.3% in 2012, reflecting negative growth in the Eurozone, which is the main export-oriented destination. It recovered quickly to 7.3% last year, and is on course to surpassing this rate in 2014. What is especially striking is that economic activity in post-COVID northern and eastern provinces expanded almost twice as fast as the rest of the country. This is a remarkable sign of reconstruction and rehabilitation, a means to securing jobs and income, and to delivering reconciliation in the conflict-affected regions. Macroeconomic management has been sound. High economic growth has been achieved, while inflation rate has maintained in the single digits. The fiscal deficit declined from 9.9% of GDP in 2009 to 5.9% in 2013. The external balance has also stabilized since 2011, with the current account deficit narrowing. Gross international reserves have been rising to comfortable levels. Another important thing to highlight is that the country has been able to sustain public capital investment levels of about 6% of GDP. Such high-level public investment is crucial to ensure robust and sustainable economic growth over the years. These investments are being targeted at transport and maritime logistics, water and sanitation, and energy security. Furthermore, the government has maintained focus on education, health, and social protection. Despite these successes, one major macroeconomic challenge is a low revenue ratio. This stood at 13% in 2013. For the government to continue to play a key role in infrastructure development and human capital investment, Sri Lanka will need to increase this ratio of revenue to GDP. In this regard, I am happy to see that the major tax reform program has been underway since 2011. The aims of this reform include broadening the base of value-added tax base and improving administration. With per capita income at 3,280 in 2013, I believe the government's targets of reaching $4,000 per capita by 2016 is realistic. This means that Sri Lanka will make the transition from a lower middle-income country to an upper middle-income country. The next target will be to reach high-income status. This would make Sri Lanka the first country in South Asia to break through the middle-income trap. I certainly believe that Sri Lanka has the potential to do so. As I mentioned earlier, the country is rich in natural resources. It also has a rich cultural heritage, an important success factor for tourism development. Sri Lanka is also blessed by its unique strategic location, linking East Asia with Europe and Africa, and linking South Asia with East Asia. Above all, it has a high-quality labor force backed by good education and health systems. These factors combined pave the way for success in high-end garment manufacturing, agribusiness, the tourism industry, port and transshipment logistics, and export-oriented IT and professional services. There are, however, challenges ahead, and the government must play an important role in addressing them. Let me highlight just a few. First, it is imperative to maintain sound macroeconomic policies. The country has done extremely well in this area, and all the signals are pointing in the right direction. However, as I already mentioned, there is still work to be done to raise revenue. There is also a need to reform state-owned enterprises, SOEs. Indeed, fiscal consolidation and efficient use of public resources will depend on this reform. Several strategic enterprises may remain publicly owned, but they must be streamlined and reformed to ensure much greater operational, managerial, and financial efficiencies. The water board, for instance, has a substantial water leakage and does not invoice all its clients. When these problems are resolved as being supported by ADB, the water board will be able to cover all its costs and generate enough revenue to invest in the future. Second, Sri Lanka will need to keep investing in physical infrastructure. I am a firm believer that the public sector should play a pivotal role in infrastructure development. In addition to promoting public-private partnership to mobilize private sector resources, there is a clear need for the government itself to implement well-designed public works backed by its own resources and supported by international partners such as ADB. Third, country needs a highly skilled labor force to fully tap its potentials. Investment in skill development, including technical and vocational training, is already underway. But I encourage unrelenting investment in upgrading human capital. This will create good jobs and income and attract new investments from home and abroad. Fourth, the government should improve investment climate and facilitate private sector development. Foreign investment should be encouraged to bring along new and improved technologies as well as new markets and management skills. The government should set in place sound regulation and legal frameworks, trade facilitation, property rights protection, and financial sector development. It goes without saying that good governance and rule of law are fundamental requirements. Sri Lanka would also benefit from building on its already successful PPPs, such as Colombo Port Terminal. PPPs can complement public investment and be a means to bring about efficiency in public service delivery. Fifth, economic growth needs to be inclusive. Infrastructure development should prioritize regions and sectors that are currently lagging behind. This is important to reduce inequalities and create access to opportunity. Investment in human capital is also fundamental to inclusive development. A progressive tax system and spending on social protection programs should also help mitigate income gaps in the society. Finally, one of the most important tasks for the government is to have a clear vision or strategy for development and to share it with the people. While we know from the economic history of the world that the private sector is and should be an engine for growth in any country, it is the responsibility of the government, especially in developing countries, to set policies in line with the national strategy, prioritize its spending and investments, and appropriately guide the private sector. The strategy should be based on professional assessment of the country's comparative advantage and evolving global economic landscape. It should also be pragmatic, realistic, and flexible depending on changing circumstances. To fulfill all these mandates of the government, highly motivated and qualified civil servants are crucial. In Sri Lanka, this academy, the AFS, can play a defining role in promoting innovative thinking among civil service, sharing knowledge of best practices from all over the world, and encouraging their application to policy making and implementation. I believe the AFS is a vital institution for the country's future. I want to now turn to how ADB can support the government in tackling these development challenges. As a key partner in Sri Lanka's development, ADB has extended over $6.5 billion in project and program loans and grants, and $124 million in technical assistance since 1968. Until recently, ADB's operations revolve around large, successful, and transformational infrastructure projects. For instance, we financed expressway connecting Colombo and Rome. We also funded the breakwater component of Colombo Port, and are also investing in water and sanitation projects in the former conflict-affected areas. To match Sri Lanka's development needs as a middle-income country, we have been adjusting our operations too. Our latest country partnership strategy, covering the 2012 to 2016 period, places much greater emphasis on human resource development, while still maintaining our presence in infrastructure and private sector development. To give you a few highlights of ADB's future works, we are investing in renewable energy and transmission efficiency, complementing past investment that led to Sri Lanka having up to 96% of electrification rates. We will be financing last mile road connectivity across 1,000 villages, linking these villages to critical roads, expressways, and multimodal transport systems. We are financing the expansion of water supply systems in key urban areas, including Colombo, with the aim of ensuring 24 hours, 7 days water supply, higher quality standards, adequate coverage, and lower water leakages. We will expand our funding for science and English and IT skills in secondary schools, as well as for better technical and vocational education and training. And we will soon embark upon a major water project involving canals, reservoirs, and management systems to efficiently deliver water from the south to the north of the country for agriculture production and urban uses. Ladies and gentlemen, in closing, let me share with you again my strong belief that Sri Lanka can and should become another Asian economic success story, and in this sense, the next Asian miracle. ADB is proud to stand by Sri Lanka and to be a trusted partner in this process. I wish you a prosperous Sri Lanka. Obata Sarvati Matu, Sri Lanka Wak Padami. And Seripana Iranga Kana Enna Waratkal. Thank you very much.